Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about a story that's very dear to my heart. And the reason why it's so dear to my heart is because this story of infidelity, addiction, destruction, whatever you want to call it, came at a time where I was at my lowest. And what I mean by that is like I was grieving. I had just lost my father, and my father and we had a great relationship. He was a great dad, he was a great role model, he was my best friend. And I can go on and on about that relationship, but I say all of this to let you know that this hit me so hard, so hard. And he passed away in 2020, which was around COVID. So it was already a very stressful time for a lot of families. And if you lost someone around that time period, my heart goes out to you because I know that it was not easy. Losing someone, period, is not easy. And this is a time where you really need your loved ones. You really need support. Grieving hits people differently. And at this time, I needed my husband the most. I really did. Um, and I really feel like it was a spiritual attack on our marriage. And if you were to ask me, like, well, how long was it going on for? I have no idea. I have no idea. And I think when I decided to get a divorce and close that chapter of my life, I knew that I could no longer be caught up in the details of what was going on. Like at some point, I had to reach a certain level in my healing journey where I fully decided to let that go, let the details go, let all of the questions go, and close that door. Seal it, never reopen it. And it doesn't mean that I can't look back and, think about things, because at times I do miss him. I miss the relationship, and I hate that it had to end the way that it did. But I also know that God has a greater plan. And I would rather go with God's plan for my life than be stuck in a relationship or a situation that is detrimental to my physical well-being, my spiritual well-being, or my emotional, mental well-being. And so back to the story. So I lost my dad in 2020 and I was grieving. And I got to a point where I felt really, really, really heavy. And in that time when I was trying to do all the things myself, meaning show up for people, handle all of my responsibilities, I was going to counseling, just working on myself because I wanted to make sure that obviously I was going through grieving, but I wanted to make sure that I was doing all of the things that I needed to do to be a better person or to go through that process in a healthy way. And so I did what came natural to me. And when this heaviness came over me, I started leaning on my Heavenly Father. I said, you know what? My physical father isn't here. And, I am taking it's a major heartbreak because he isn't here. So I'm going to lean on my Heavenly Father. And I just started praying and meditating. And there were nights where I couldn't sleep and I would just cry. And the heaviness, I remember it to the point because it didn't feel like depression to me. It felt like something else. Like it really, really did. And obviously, because I've never lost someone so close to me. So I did not know if it was just the grieving, if it was depression. Like I had no idea, but I said, I'm going to lean on God anyways, because what I was trying to do just wasn't working. And it seemed like as time went on, the heaviness got heavier, it got worse. And I just leaned. I leaned. And I remember I had a friend, and we're going to call him Timmy. I love Timmy. He reached out to me just to kind of see how I was doing and everything. And he had mentioned that he had saw this psychic. And I didn't really tell him, like, about the heaviness that I was feeling. But he recommended that I reach out to this psychic just for, you know, just to see what she would say, just for entertainment purposes. And I went back and forth for quite some time in regards to like reaching out to her, just because, I was just like, I don't think that that's what God would want me to do. God would want me to lean on him, like not, a psychic or what have you. But no shame, right? No shame. So I did it anyways. I reached out to her. I'm guilty. And when I reached out to her, oh my gosh, she went into like this, what seemed like a breakdown, really, because she was just like, oh my gosh, there's someone in your life that, is manipulating you. And, there's evilness going on behind closed doors. And then it seemed like she started to pray as well, because she was just like, God, please reveal this to her. And, just let all what comes out in the, that's done in the dark come to the surface, or whatever her prayer was. But I just remember her like praying that, I would gain clarity in the situation, and what was happening behind closed doors would come out to the open. She did not help my situation, because that made me even more fearful, because here I am, I lost my dad, I'm grieving, and she's talking about evilness behind closed doors. So anyways, I continued to pray. I did what I, was doing. I did what I knew how to do. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed. And I remember one morning, as soon as I got up, I just got down on my knees and I started crying to God. And I said, God, please lift this heaviness, because I literally cannot function any longer. Like if this heaviness starts to weigh me down any more, I will not be able to function. I will not be able to show up for my loved ones or my responsibilities. So please, remove this, remove whatever it is, reveal it to me. Like I'm ready. And I went downstairs, and I remember, my husband, he was getting ready for the day. And he left his phone on the sofa. He left his phone on the sofa, and it was open. And I don't even remember like thinking, really. It was like maybe like a knee-jerk reaction where I just like picked up his phone and started going through it. And I saw like text messages and like phone calls to like just random like numbers that were not saved in his contact list. And in the messages, he was asking them like, how much do you charge? How much do you charge? And I was just like, maybe something's wrong with his car. But no, he would have told me if something was wrong with his car. This sounds a little druggy or drug related. Like, how much do you charge? And then I said, well, my husband, he doesn't seem like he's on drugs. And then so I started Googling the phone numbers, because I said, Google will know. And I Googled the phone numbers, and they were coming up as escorts, sex workers, prostitutes, whatever you want to call them. And that's what they were. And I have this moment of silence because that's how speechless I was at the time when I found out that he was sleeping with prostitutes. I was speechless, very speechless. And I don't know what else to say other than it was like spiritual warfare, really, because think about all of the events that transpired. Like losing my dad, I feel like was a catalyst for my spiritual growth, right? Because I had never leaned on God that hard in my life. And me seeing the psychic and then her talking about like evil going on behind closed doors. And then me just praying and meditating. And then that coming out, my husband sleeping around. And even when I found out the information, he still like lied about it. And he even went to the extremes of when we were having a conversation about it, he literally like fell out mid-conversation, fell out, lost consciousness, and acted like an evil spirit left his body. Like he got up as if he just didn't know what happened and said, "Thank you for delivering me from that situation." And you know what? One thing I have learned is that people are really struggling with some demonic things. They really are. But it's not my responsibility to heal people or to fight their demons for them or to carry their demons for them. And married or not, because in all fairness, you only saw that this was an issue until it came out into the open. I was grieving my father for like the last 2 years, from 2018 to 2020. And I just feel like anyone who can engage in that type of behavior, not only in a marriage, right? Because that's kind of like a no-go when you're married. Like you shouldn't be doing that at all. And then you're pretty much laying down with a lot of people. So you're bringing it back with you into our home, into our bed, putting me at risk. But then on top of that, I just literally lost my father. Like nothing in your mind said, okay, let me just stop, or let me get help. So that showed me pretty much the type of person that I was with. And what makes it even scarier is if you were to ask me, okay, did you not see signs? No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't live my life in a way where I wanted to be like a private investigator 24/7. Because I'm like, that's the only way I would have known that he was doing something like that. Like, if I was to like follow him to work or follow him to like events, if he said that he was going somewhere, or put a tracker on his car, or have him take a lie detector test, or go through his phone every day. That sounds exhausting. I'm not doing that. I believe when you get married to someone, it is saying, okay, the games are over. You are my person. I'm going to do the right thing. And whenever I am acting, I'm going to act in a way where I prioritize our relationship, the health of our relationship, right? Like the emotional health, the spiritual health of our relationship. And that is my first priority. So I thought. And, comment down below because I love to hear you guys' comments. And, based off of what you say, maybe I'll make a part two because I know you're curious to see, okay, well, what happened? Or what's it like being with a sex addict, right? Because I truly believe that this type of spiritual warfare or abuse or whatever, it doesn't discriminate. It really doesn't. And I think it's really important that we spread awareness and we share our stories because someone's story can help someone else. And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.